Good afternoon and welcome to the South Dakota Healthy Nutrition Collaborative Lunch and Learn series. Today we have Michelle Erpenbach from Sioux Falls Thrive, and she will be talking about gleaning and all things Sioux Falls food insecurity and food security. The purpose of the collaborative, before we get going, is to bring a collective voice to support access to nutritious foods, which builds a strong foundation for healthy South Dakota families and communities to prosper. As a reminder, we do our work in 3 goal groups. One is to improve the coordination and identify areas for statewide research and evaluation and programmatic best practices. The other is to elevate the voices of food nutrition advocates, researchers, and individuals experiencing food and nutrition insecurity. And the final goal group is to advance policy implementation to improve food and nutrition security in South Dakota. With that, I am going to stop sharing my slides and let Michelle introduce herself and begin her presentation. Thank you for joining us, Michelle.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for inviting me, Jen. It's always great to talk with folks who are understanding and living and breathing in this world where food security is we know it's just so critical. And so I'm happy to share a little bit today about what's happening with some food security work in Sioux Falls. The team has decided, and let me double check. You can see my screen, yes?
Yes, we do see.
Okay, awesome, good, thank you. So the project that I'm going to talk about just briefly today is called Food Rescue 605. This was the name that the team came together on. It is that concept of, again, you know Thrive, and that we work in the area of, hold on, sorry, my slides aren't going when I want them to. Oh, Jennifer, can you give me slide control? Sorry, it's saying you only have it. Slide control. It won't move. Why won't it move?
Try now.
Okay, got it. Apologies, technology on a Monday, right? So I just want to talk briefly about Sioux Falls Thrive. You know that Thrive is the community's designated cradle to career workforce development initiative. Our work really does work in a collective impact model. It brings all the folks together, the experts in various areas, with that concept of all of our children, regardless of who they are, where they grow up, what neighborhood they're in. Are they ready for kindergarten? Can they, when they're in 3rd grade, can they read at the 3rd grade reading level? When they're in 8th grade, can they do 8th grade math? Are they ready to graduate from high school? And then how are they ready to go on and be their best people as adults? And so that's really, that cradle to career piece is huge for Sioux Falls Thrive. We look at 3 areas when we're doing that. We don't work directly inside the school, but we do work in partnership with them. It's really that ecosystem around kids, that idea of, are they sleeping in their own beds tonight? So that's affordable housing. We talk about, what are they doing when they're not in school? And you know that kids only spend about 20% of their time in a classroom. And so what's the rest of that in the summer, the long weekends and evenings? Who's helping them with homework? Who's making sure that they're safe? So that's out of school enrichment. And then the third one, which has become kind of our biggest area, partly because of the work that you all are doing with this collaborative, this coalition, is food security. Truly looking at that concept of the impact that food has, not only on that child as an individual, but on all of us. And one of the projects that we've done is the Eat Well Sioux Falls Mobile Market. And people often ask us, why a mobile grocery store? How does that impact children directly? And it really is that concept of food security is about the entire family. And many of our families in Sioux Falls are multi-generational. There's many of our kids being raised by grandparents in Sioux Falls and across the state. And so food security is a huge issue for us. So today, Food Rescue 605 really looks at this concept of food waste versus hunger. And you're going to hear more in a couple of weeks from Pam Cole at Bread Break talking about this. But just in brief, Food Rescue 605 is looking at that data in terms of the amount of food that really goes to waste in the United States. We know also our landfill in Sioux Falls, something like close to 20% of the waste in our landfill in Sioux Falls is actually food. And so it's a huge, huge issue, food waste is. And then the numbers of people that are continue to be food insecure, both in, locally and nationwide, is the numbers are just astronomical at this point. So our group came together around that concept of food security. We call it at that time, we're calling it the Food Security Action Team. It's really developed into a network of folks. They kind of work as a community food security network in collaboration with the city of Sioux Falls and some other organizations. Truly is a group that comes together. Again, collective impact is that idea of how can we make sure that all of the folks that are maybe already working in this space or interested in a particular space, that they're coming together and having those conversations about solutions that really do look at what are our existing resources. Are we using them well? Are we, particularly when we talk about things that might require donor dollars, are we asking donors, are we working across silos? Are we asking donors to give the same money to different organizations for the same purpose? Can we figure out ways that we can all work together? So that's that collective impact piece. Well, this group then is truly working on creating a system that links food producers, like some of the folks in this group, distributors, processors, consumers. And then we're talking a lot about salvaging food that might otherwise go to waste. Jen mentioned gleaning a minute ago, and that's really a key piece of this, that idea that we've got tons of not only just personal gardens, but there are community gardens in Sioux Falls. There are some small producers that are growing vegetables that are being sold to us in our restaurants and our grocery stores. That there are lots of opportunities where we might have produce, particularly, that could be prevented from going to waste if we look at it differently. And I always use the story of the fall festival, and we've gone out and picked our beautiful pumpkins, and all the perfect ones have gone home to become jack-o'-lanterns. And if you turn around then and look at that field after the fall festival, it's still full of broken and ugly pumpkins that are perfectly good food. Can we figure out how to salvage that food, glean it from that field, and then process it into food that can be distributed to families in need? And so pumpkin patches and apple trees and all of those sorts of things are kind of in that. And so then, with what Thrive does with that concept, once it's bubbled up out of that collaborative work, we really go into a pilot phase. And we did this last fall. We did it in a church kitchen. We thought, if we didn't advertise it, we just kind of asked a few friends, are you interested in helping us maybe glean some fields, maybe see what's available in people's, personal gardens, what might be available? And we thought, if we get a few jars of salsa out of this project as a practice run, we'd be really excited about it. And so we did, as you see the data there, we ended up with 203 pounds of fresh produce just in this very small pilot project. And the data shows the amount of produce that was turned into actual usable food for individuals. This is some pictures from that event, that pilot phase. And just we brought together a group of chefs. You'll see some of those folks are from Avera. The Avera Food Service folks were there. And then they have friends, and they're super excited then to join us as we take it from a pilot phase to what we call proof of concept. And so we're working through that process now, so that, again, it's that idea of building a system so that maybe, there'll be a group of us that will have, or a group of folks that will have this happening in a certain location somewhere. But there might be others that want to step up and do the same thing in their own church, or do it in their school kitchen, or however that comes together. We really want to test a system to see if there isn't a way for the community to come around this idea of rescuing food. And so you can see the list of folks that are involved with this project right now. Many of you who are involved with this organization are also in those conversations as well. And then the idea beyond this this direct gleaning of fields is to expand the existing food rescue operations. And you know that, and I know that this graph is a little bit small too, but the point is not that you have to be able to read each one of those. But the point is that right now, there is no real system to food rescue in Sioux Falls. There are two organizations who are doing the work and doing it well. They are the pink circles in this graph, Bread Break, who you'll hear from in a couple of weeks, and St. Francis House. And they are in the process of, and Bread Break's been around for a long time doing this more publicly. They have bands and they have volunteers and they've built a system, and they now are at a point where they have an app that is helping to connect people like you and me that maybe on a Saturday afternoon you want to do a little volunteer work. You can jump on the app and help transport food that's been rescued, transport it from the giving organization to an organization that's receiving it. Some really great examples. The Falls Park Farmers Market has been involved with that. Food goes straight from the farmers market to an organization that can turn those fresh vegetables into food that can be given away immediately to folks in need. So those sorts of things have been happening for quite some time with Bread Break. St. Francis House is doing a lot of the same kind of thing, but the thing that Julie Becker talks about is truckloads that maybe have been rejected by her great examples are, some of our larger big box stores. If they find a single frozen item in an entire truck that isn't quite frozen solid, it's maybe started to defrost, they'll reject the entire truck. And that's still good edible food. Can we figure out how to get it into a processing situation or get it to organizations that can use it, turn it into meals immediately? And Julie's been doing that for a while. And so Food Rescue 605 now wants to take that concept and build it into a larger system so that folks can really make those connections between food and the people who are in need. So that's kind of the nutshell, and I'm happy to answer questions about it. But the thing to think about as we start to build this kind of a system, we hope that it's something it's not new, but it really does bring together some things that are already happening. What we really want folks to understand is there are ways that each of us can step in to help with this. Some of it's as basic as just joining the group so you get the meeting minutes, so that you understand what's happening. But there will be what we're calling processing days in August, September, and October, where folks will be coming together. You saw the pictures from the pilot that was actually in the kitchen at Wesley United Methodist Church here in Sioux Falls. There are a couple of other church kitchens that are interested in being part of that. And so we want to make sure that part of that system that we'll build will literally direct folks. That we're coming up on zucchini season very soon, and it's always the joke that everybody has way too many zucchinis. What would it look like if I had so many zucchinis but I had a place that I could actually take them, that they could either be processed or used immediately? The pilot project, we ended up making meal kits essentially that went out on the Eat Well Sioux Falls mobile market. But to get that food into the hands of folks that can really use it to make soup this winter or whatever it is, that part of the system doesn't quite exist yet. So that's really what we're working on. So then a QR code here at the end will take you to the website that kind of talks about this a little bit more in depth. There's some of our pictures are there. More of them are actually on that website, so you can see what that process looked like. And again, it's that idea of really how can we figure out how each of us can come together and really work this process together a little bit more, a little more cohesively, a little more systematically than what's been happening. And that's the goal of Food Rescue 605. So thanks again for inviting me. I'm happy to answer questions. If you click on that QR code, you can also see a way to get in touch with us at Sioux Falls Thrive, info@siouxfallsthrive.org. You can certainly connect with us that way. So that ends my report. So great to be here. Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. We really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.